Here are 2 super easy holiday card ideas that you can make in 5 minutes or less that anyone would love. First one is a Christmas tree. Start by putting 2 pieces of tape to make a triangle on your paper. Make sure to, so that they don't rip your paper, to press them onto some fabric or clothing first to get those fibers in there so they won't rip the paper, and then press them really hard down onto your paper so that the paint won't leak through. I like to use 2 colors of green, and I just do a swirly wiggly line, sorry I'm left-handed so you can't see that, right down the middle of that triangle. And for my next color of green, I'm going to mix a little bit of blue in with it just to change it up a little bit. And I'm not trying to make this perfect. I make kind of a wiggly line going over the other wiggly line, and you can make it any way you want, because honestly, when you take the tape off, it's going to look great. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. I made another wiggly line on the bottom to show that's kind of like the bottom of the tree. Okay, and then I'm washing my brush and I'm grabbing some brown, and I want to keep it nice and light, but I'm just making a long, tall stem, and just with a couple of lines. And then I'm just going to get some water and I'm going to smooth that out a little bit and just make it look like a skinny little trunk. Let things dry before you really go over them with watercolor. Like, don't get your brown of your trunk into your tree until the tree is a little bit dry, because otherwise it'll spread. Now I'm going to do a little bit of snow, and I'm just using blue for the snow because I don't have white. You can paint a background on this first if you want to, which is super cute, or try doing some watercolor and sprinkling salt on it and then do your tree over top. That's like a whole other thing. But I've got 2 colors of blue. I've got a purpley blue and a turquoisey blue, just to mix it up a little bit. I think that's something a lot of people forget about when they're doing watercolor, is to mix up your colors. Don't just use one color of blue. Do a couple of different colors, and I'm doing layers, so I've got kind of a hill in the background, a hill in the foreground, and I keep it nice and light because my tree is my focus, not my ground. Okay, and then I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to take off my tape when it's completely dry. Hopefully it doesn't tear and it didn't leak, and if it did, you know what? It's homemade. Don't worry about it. You can always practice. And then I need something on my tree. You can decorate your tree any way you want. You can put little colorful circles on it to make ornaments, or you can do a star on top. I am going to go with the bow trend of 2024 and add a little bow. So I make a little like infinity circle 8, and then I add some little tails on the bow, and there you have it, all done. Perfect and easy. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be a happy, smiling, waving snowman. This one's a little bit harder, but you can still do it. I'm going to grab a very light blue, which I'm mixing with water to keep it nice and light, and there's that blue snow again. And then I am going to make 3 very light circles. These are just my guidelines. You might want to draw this out if you don't feel comfortable just winging it. I do this a lot, these little doodles, so I don't usually draw it out, but just 3 circles. The big one's on the bottom, medium one, and then a smaller one on top. Leave a little bit of space at the top for your snowman's hat. And then I go back in with just some water and I spread that out because my snowman is snow, he's white, and I am going to spread out the blue just to give it some shadow, but I'm not going to make him blue. Next, I am going to wait for this to dry. I don't want to touch my snowman, but I'm just going to make a little red band at the top. And that is the band that is going to be the colorful band around the hat, which I am not painting yet because my snowman is still a little bit wet and I don't want to move the black into the snowman and make a mess. So there are parts in this where I actually pause the video to let it dry. If it's not completely dry, just wait. I'm going to add my hat. Now here's the thing about the snowman hat. It does not matter what it looks like. It's got like a wide brim and a top, and that is it, because snowmen or women can wear any kind of hat that they want to. It can be floppy, it can be crushed, it can be purple velvet, whatever. Use any color you want. Just put a hat on it and it will work. Next, I'm going to add a little pine frond in the hat so it looks a little bit wintry. And I just do these little lines like that. And then I'm going to wait for it to dry. Give it a little bit of time. You can use a hairdryer. And then I add my little rock or coal buttons. I don't know if you use rocks or coal. I don't know. Where do you even find coal? Like, do you buy it? I use rocks when I make a snowman. But I think it's like old-fashioned and cute to use coal. I need a bag of coal for the next time it snows. Now we're adding the arms. And the arms are made of sticks, and I just happen to find 2 perfect sticks that look like they have hands and they're waving. And I have one going up, and I give him 3 fingers because I don't want to mess too much with the fingers. Plus he's a snowman, so I don't think he has like 5 fingers and a thumb and all that. They're just branches. So I'm just gonna outline that. And then later on in this video, you are gonna see me go over it with some really super light brown mixed with a little bit of yellow. And I'm just gonna fill those branches in. But right now I'm just letting this dry because this is pretty dark and thick and it's gonna take a minute to dry. Now I've let it dry, completely dry, check to make sure. And I'm gonna just use the very tip of my brush. I'm barely touching my paper. I'm gonna make this little pointy nose and I'm gonna make some lines on it. And this is all very light. I'm not coloring things in. I'm just kind of using my brush to make lines and letting the watercolor flow. Then I'm gonna add some eyes, and I try to make the eyes round and a little bit further apart so they don't look mad. The angle of the eyes really matters. You can make your snowman look super friendly or menacing, up to you. And I made my little pebble mouth, and there he is. He's super smiley. I have one more detail. So as soon as everything is completely dry, you can make a scarf, and you can use stripes. You could just make it plain. I decided to make mine stripey, and I went in with the green first, and then I paused the video and I let it dry for a little while, and then I'm gonna go back in with the red, you'll see. But do give yourself time to dry. This is all really easy, but it's because I'm being super patient. So I'm gonna go back in here and you can see what it looks like up close with my red, and I'm gonna add a little water to it to make it not so dark. And if you really want to make this detailed, you could do shadows around the shoulder, like the underneath the hat and around the scarf, and you can make it super detailed. But honestly, this is just an illustration. It's very loose, and like the way that the hat band and the hat has some white in between it, that is a choice it's kind of an illustration choice. So you can change it up, make it your own style. This is just how I like to do it, and it's an easy way to paint quickly without having to worry about colors running into each other. Now that my arms are dry, I'm going to fill them in a little bit with a very light brown to give them a little bit of dimension, and there they are. Enjoy. If you would consider subscribing to my channel, I am trying to increase my subscribers so I can do this more. It's so much fun for me. Happy holidays.